The most dangerous foods in the world are lurking in your fridge right now. And if this sounds freaky, stay tuned. And I'm going to go over exactly which ones they are. Hi, I'm Wendy Myers of MyersDetox.com. And, there's a lot of foods that are really unhealthy, but today we're going to cover the foods that are downright dangerous. That's why in this video, we're going to cover the most common staples in your diet that compromises your health, why knowing where your food comes from is such a huge deal, how farmers knowingly contaminate our beef and dairy, and which foods are hotbeds for heavy metals and other toxins. So number one, the worst food, the most dangerous food is sugar. Sugar is public enemy number one to our metabolism. What's the worst thing about sugar? It's that you can be avoiding all the obvious sources like ice cream and candy and soda pop. Most folks don't realize that sugar is lurking in products and foods that they think that are healthy, like protein bars, sauces, salad dressings, bread, sports drinks, nut butters, and yogurt. And this is just a snapshot. There's many, many, many more examples where sugar is lurking when you're thinking you're eating a healthy food. So what's the issue with sugar? Well, the problem is our bodies can only handle 5 milligrams at a time. And if you drink a Coke, that's 50 milligrams you're getting in that one Coke. So our bodies are just not equipped to handle the level of sugar that we're consuming today. And most people I know are consuming more than just a Coca-Cola per day. They're getting massive amounts of sugar. It's shocking the amount of sugar that the American public eats every single year. I think it's like 300 pounds a year. The problem with sugar is it contains glucose, and too much glucose causes oxidative damage in the tissues. And so oxidative damage is kind of like rust in your body where you create all these free radicals and it starts damaging your very delicate tissues in your body. And sugar is also linked to obesity, obviously. So if you're getting excess sugar in your diet more than what your energy needs are, all that excess sugar or glucose gets stored in your cells as fat. It also, leads to insulin resistance, which is a precursor to diabetes. Diabetes is one of the number one threats to people's health in the Western world today. So you got to start watching your sugar intake. It's very dangerous. Number two is fried food. We've all been taught that fried food is bad for our health because it's rich in fat, but the problem is not that it has fat. Fat's good for you. It's the type of fat. So most fried foods are made from vegetable oils, and when they're fried, these turn rancid and turn into what are called trans fats. So trans fats are almost like plastics where your body doesn't realize that these aren't real fats. They take them into the cell, into your brain cells, and they act like plasticizers. They harden the cell membranes and they prevent cellular metabolism where nutrients get in your cells and toxins get out of your cells. So they're bad news, especially for children. So the result of eating trans fats, well, you get these dysfunctional cells with impaired metabolism, communication is impaired, hormones can't get in, toxins can't get out, just a disaster. And so the result is high cholesterol, heart disease, fatty liver disease, so many different issues. It's just not worth the risk. So number three is conventional beef. The primary issue with conventional meat is that it's produced on what are called CAFO lots, which is a concentrated animal feeding operation. So it's really, really disgusting if you've ever visited one. On the other hand, if you go to a farm that produces grass-fed beef, they're not stuck in pens all day. They're allowed to graze on grass. They're eating grass. They're eating their natural diet. They're just generally healthier. They're not fed antibiotics, typically if they're organic and grass-fed, which is ideal. That's the kind of animal protein that you want to be eating if you are eating it. On conventional farms, however, due to shortage of space, the animals are regularly pumped full of antibiotics that help to stave off infection and disease. And it's really, really sad, actually. And when you're eating animal products that have been regularly fed antibiotics, they're going to be more prone to antibiotic-resistant infections that then you can acquire. So it's really bad for your health in a number of ways. Number 4 is conventional dairy. So in addition to antibiotics, they're also pumped full of hormones that help them to increase their milk production. So this synthetic bovine growth hormone, it's called RBST. It's allowed in the United States, it's FDA approved, but it's banned in a lot of other countries around the world. And the problem with consuming this hormone is that it's just another thing that causes metabolic and hormonal chaos in our body. There's many substances that contribute to this. So you just don't want to be knowingly consuming this RBST because it's linked to infertility. It messes with the delicate hormone balance that we need to have proper growth, fertility, and just hormonal function in general. So you want to be looking for products, dairy products that say free of RBST. That's what you want to be looking for on your label. Unless your bottle of milk directly states free of RBST, you can guarantee that it's in there. So number 5 is rice. So rice seems innocent enough because it's not processed, it has one ingredient, just rice. But the problem with rice, especially brown rice, is it just has an affinity for pulling arsenic out of the soil. And that arsenic can cause a lot of different issues like trouble losing weight, resistant weight loss. It can cause fatigue. It can cause hair loss and many other problems in the body that I've talked about extensively on my YouTube channel. And when it comes to arsenic, that will primarily be in the endosperm or the outside of the rice bran. And so that's why I personally don't eat brown rice. It's okay every once in a while, but I think it's much better to eat just the white rice, which most people prefer anyways. And you also want to eat organic rice. So I like rice from California. I love Lundberg rice. That's a really good brand. But if you're getting rices from like maybe Thailand or Asia or China or India, you know, they could have more problems with toxins in the rice because they're just tends on average to be more toxins in those soils in China or in India. So that's just a few tips there. There's a great article on consumersreports.org that talks about different rices and makes rice recommendations if you want to get one that's free of arsenic or lower arsenic than other brands of rice. So number 6 is fish. So I don't want to vilify fish because fish is a very healthy food, but you just need to be aware that when you are eating fish or shellfish, you are getting heavy metals and chemicals. But you know, all foods today have some level of toxins in them. So I'm not saying don't eat fish, but there's certain fish you definitely want to avoid, like mackerel, the large migratory fish like the tunas. The skipjack tunas used for canned tuna fish are typically okay, that they still have some mercury in them. Salmon is okay, but some of the larger fishes like the swordfish and shark, those are going to be very high in mercury. You want to avoid those. So fish is okay to eat, but you want to be just mindful. You need to be thinking about detoxing your body from the mercury or other toxins you're getting in your diet. So we don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. Fish is a very healthy source of omega-3 fatty acids, which we need. A lot of people are deficient in. So eat fish, but you want to be detoxing as well if you're eating a lot of fish on a regular basis. So fish accumulate a lot of heavy metals like mercury. They can also accumulate lead and cadmium and nickel as well. It's due to petroleum burning, due to coal burning, that releases all these heavy metals into our air, into our atmosphere, and that settles into our oceans and then bioaccumulates in fish and shellfish especially. Shellfish are particularly nasty and particularly contaminated because they tend to be, you know, at the mouths of rivers, at the shore of oceans. And so they can be contaminated with a lot of like runoff, especially if they're around cities and things like that. And so you just need to be aware of that with shellfish. They just are more contaminated as a whole than fish. So the best fish to consume are the smaller fish. The smaller the fish, the less time it's been alive to accumulate mercury. So I love sardines, I love anchovies, or the white anchovies are delicious. You can also eat salmon, the mackerels, the herrings, those are all great fish to consume because they're really small. Those are going to be lowest in mercury, and those are the ones that you want to focus on. Number 7 is soda, like Coke, Pepsi, Sprite, etc., Mountain Dew, Fanta, all those delicious drinks that are really bad bad for you that I can't drink anymore. These beverages are sweetened with high fructose corn syrup. And so what a lot of people don't know is that high fructose corn syrup has a lot of mercury in it, just the way that it's processed and whatnot. Mercury can also be used as an antimicrobial. And so people don't realize they're getting a little dose of mercury when they're eating Coke and Sprite and Pepsi. The problem with high fructose corn syrup is it puts this extra workload on your liver. And so that's why this, high consumption in Western countries of high fructose corn syrup also contributes to our epidemic of fatty liver disease. In the United States alone, 100 million people have fatty liver disease. And so it's devastating for your body because you can't be healthy unless you have a healthy liver. So all I can say is that you need to avoid high fructose corn syrup at all costs. It's in a lot of processed foods, frozen foods, fast foods, any candy bar, any soda that you're drinking. All of those have high fructose corn syrup. So when you have a lot of high fructose corn syrup consumption in your diet, this leads to a lot of inflammation in your liver and can even damage your liver permanently. So what about obesity? So research shows that consumption of high fructose corn syrup sweetened beverages is the #1 cause of weight gain in the United States. So I personally have a rule. I don't consume any liquid that contains sugar or that is sweetened. So that's just my rule and it works very, very well. That's how I stay slim. I think people don't realize how much sugar that they're consuming in liquids. So I just have that rule. I sweeten any kind of liquids I have with stevia, like I have some green tea here I'm drinking. I use stevia for that. I use stevia in my coffee. You get used to the taste and you bypass any kind of potential weight gain from your liquids. So while glucose will naturally trigger insulin in your body and signal to your body that you've got fuel, fructose doesn't signal your body in the same way, contributing to metabolic confusion. And the end result is that even though your body is getting the signal that you have fuel, your brain isn't getting the message. So the end result is you want to continue to eat more food. To make matters even worse, brown colored soda like Coke or Pepsi have a coloring in them called caramel coloring that's a known carcinogen. So #8 is diet soda. So no sugar, no high fructose corn syrup, sounds perfectly safe, right? So let's just do diet soda. I did that for years. I skipped, regular soda, thinking that was really, really unhealthy, all that sugar. And then I just switched to diet soda and I literally drank diet soda for every single meal. I'm not even joking. So I stopped that at least about 10 years ago. Never looked back. You can do it too. So diet sodas are packed with artificial sweeteners that have no place in your body whatsoever. Most are made with aspartame, which has been linked to brain cell death, neurological issues, and behavioral issues. Most folks assume that diet soda will help with weight loss or benefit those with diabetes that are trying to go on a sugar-free diet. But research shows the exact opposite because aspartame can alter your gut microbiome, which is essential to have a healthy weight, and actually increase the development of obesity and insulin resistance. So I just did a whole series on aspartame because I wanted to illustrate how bad it was and how bad diet soda is for your body. So check that out above. It's bad. So #9 is cereal. So cereal is one of those foods that can really fly under the radar when it comes to the most dangerous foods. But make no mistake, eating boxed cereals that are full of sugar are metabolically the same as eating ice cream, cookies, or just having a dessert. You're literally eating a glorified dessert for breakfast. And to make matters worse, most food manufacturers or cereal manufacturers throw in high fructose corn syrup, hydrogenated oils, and food coloring to add insult to injury. And also all those bright colors are actually toxic chemicals. These are petroleum-based dyes like, FDN-C, red and yellow and blue, and these are linked to hyperactivity and ADHD in children. And if that's not enough to turn you off, a lot of these cereals are preserved with something called BHT, which is a known carcinogen in animals in research. So the chances are has the same effect in humans as well. I don't want to be consuming BHT. It's a really, really bad preservative for you. What I recommend is just completely ditching cereal altogether and going for something like, if you want something crunchy, to have some nuts, have some muesli in the morning, maybe some oatmeal. That'd be a safer route to go. Number 10 are baked goods, especially ones that are pre-packaged and have tons of preservatives in them, like you see at convenience stores or sitting in the grocery store. So baked goods are another category that, unfortunately have some of the other toxic ingredients and foods that we mentioned before in this video. So there's a lot of healthy baked goods out there, but most of them are made from gluten-containing grains. Most manufacturers, especially the pre-packaged processed baked goods, contain artificial flavoring, artificial coloring. They'll have dough enhancers like bromine. They also contain sugar. They have high fructose corn syrup, or they contain regular sugar. They can also contain really inflammatory vegetable oils. More often than not, baked goods are made from wheat. And so a lot of people have issues with a protein in wheat called gluten. And it's kind of Latin for the word glue, and it becomes very sticky and gelatinous in your gut, and it can cause a lot of people digestive issues. For many people, they can have issues like indigestion, they can have gas, bloating, stomach pains, things of that nature, and they just don't make the connection that they're eating gluten or wheat morning, noon, and night. They're having, a tortilla in the morning, they're having toast, or they're having a burrito at lunch, they're having spaghetti for dinner, and most people don't realize that they have a gluten sensitivity. But more importantly, most wheat in the United States contains an herbicide called glyphosate. So I personally think a lot of people don't have as much of an issue with gluten as they do with the glyphosate that's in the wheat. So that can be causing a lot of digestive disturbances just by itself. And also in the United States, almost 100% of the wheat grown in the US is genetically modified. It contains GMOs, which are modified proteins that can be, allergens. They're also sprayed with the glyphosate that I just mentioned, this harmful herbicide that's been linked to non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. So unless you're eating organic wheat, it's going to contain glyphosate. So you need to avoid all wheat except for organic wheat. So what's the solution with this one? So like I said, eat organic wheat, or if you're really craving a baked good, try to go for a gluten-free option. That would be your best bet. So the sad truth is that our grocery stores are packed with these dangerous foods that are approved by the FDA and they're grown by US farmers. So what you need to do is be your own health advocate. So you have to read ingredient labels. You have to learn what all these different ingredients are on the labels, research them. I have tons of information on MyersDetox.com to help you learn more about what's in your food. It's your responsibility. So you've got to get diet sodas and cereals off the menus. You have to stay away from artificial sweeteners that are doing more harm than good for your health. And avoid dairy if you can. It's not the healthiest food. I approve of organic, raw, grass-fed dairy. A lot of people don't have access to it. But if you are going to do dairy, just make sure you get dairy that says free of RBST. And when it comes to animal products, make sure you choose products that say on the label antibiotic or hormone free. Better yet, eat organic and or grass-fed. Ideally, organic and grass-fed is best. And I love this topic because all it takes to get rid of the biggest offenders to your health is go through this video and remove all of these top 10 offenders in your pantry today. So take the information in this video, take action, and thanks so much for listening.